Another Godzilla day has come and gone, and oh boy did we fans eat good. Of course, the big thing was the Japanese release of Godzilla -1, which is open to immense praise from critics and fans alike and has also been doing incredibly well at the Japanese box office, beating the previous record holders of Shin Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters both in opening day and overall attendance numbers. Alongside that though, we got brand new short films dedicated to the 50th anniversaries of some of Godzilla's most iconic friends and foes, that being the insect monster Megalon and the heroic robot Jet Jaguar. I made a video last year about the short films commemorating Gigan's 50th anniversary, and that video did pretty well for me. So I figured that I might as well talk about this year's shorts as well, and oh boy, have I got quite a few things to say about these ones. So with all that said, let's jump right on into this year's Godzilla Day shorts. Just like last year, let's start off with the gemstone short, Godzilla vs Megalon. I'll be the first to admit that I was completely not expecting a gemstone short this year. I thought that it was exclusively dedicated to the Gigan anniversary. At the very least, that's what I remember hearing from official sources. I guess it does make sense to have both a gemstone short and a tokusatsu short, considering that it is celebrating the anniversary of 2 monsters instead of just 1. But anyways, what did I think of Godzilla vs Megalon? I thought it was pretty cool. If you guys remember from my videos on the Gigan shorts, you know that while I did enjoy Godzilla vs Gigan Rex and what it brought to the table, it was really simple, primarily it just being a big fight between the 2 titular monsters. Godzilla vs Megalon though brings a lot more to the table than just the big fight. This will be a recurring theme in both this and the Jet Jaguar short, but this year's shorts brought things to a whole nother level in terms of their production value, which can absolutely be seen in this short. One of the big things is the inclusion of numerous actors. While there isn't a human character at the focus of this short, it was cool to see that there were several different parts where people were involved, whereas in Gigan Rex it was entirely dedicated to the monster scenes. Scenes including people evacuating the city as Godzilla and Megalon show up, the military looking at Godzilla's energy levels, or the guy live streaming info about what happened after the Gigan attack make this world seem so much more lived in, and it makes me far more engaged with this short as opposed to just seeing big monsters fight all the time. While we're on that sort of subject, another thing that the higher production value gave us was more shots that weren't just entirely CGI cityscapes. We got quite a few street level shots that include a Godzilla who was composited into the city, a military base with tanks and jets, and even a look into Seatopia, where we can see the carcass of Gigan Rex. Super cool detail. While I admit that a lot of these newer elements are not perfect, I do appreciate the ambition, being a lot more experimental and adding more to this short than the last one. Another thing that was new in this short was the introduction of their own musical score. Gigan Rex primarily used stock music, whether that be from the Heisei era Godzilla films or from Beethoven, but here, all the music is entirely new. This includes a brand new version of the Godzilla theme that plays as Godzilla fights Megalon, and it sounds pretty cool. Speaking of the fight scenes, they're really cool as well. The animation is a lot smoother this time, less janky shots than there were in Gigan Rex, and the monster's movements feel a lot more natural. The destruction level too is totally amped up from last time, with Megalon in particular having several moments where he absolutely annihilates everything in his way. There's a lot of really cool moments in the fight as well. Godzilla being able to channel his atomic energy into punches is something I've wanted to see for ages, and seeing it brought to life here was so cool. Also using that same atomic energy to propel him into a modern version of the tail slide from the original Godzilla vs Megalon movie was unbelievably hype. Now let's move on to the titular enemy monster of this short, Megalon. Just like with Gigan Rex, Megalon got updated with a brand new design, powers, and personality. Just like Gigan, Megalon is a real goober. The 2 of them share one brain cell and it is great. Here though, Megalon got upgraded to be a bit more of a badass, just like Gigan. While I always prefer that original take, this new version is really cool as well. A lot of it comes down to his awesome new design, making him a lot more armored than the Showa era counterpart, making it so he looks like he's wearing a big coat or jacket. Also updating several of his weapons like his drills to be able to shift around and change shape, and his weird tomatoes that he shoots out of his mouth, which got changed to look more like darts, which work really well with this design. His roar also got an update as well, with Batro's roar being mixed in there, giving it a bit more of a Heisei era vibe. I can't think of anything I really dislike about this take on the Seatopian beetle god. If there is anything I don't like, and this is just a me thing, is that we don't have a figure of this Megalon. Godzilla and Gigan Rex got figures last year, and it would have been so cool to have them alongside something like SP Jet Jaguar together to make a modern day Godzilla vs Megalon display. But I guess Toho and Bandai don't want my hard-earned money or something, I don't know. I was thoroughly impressed with Godzilla vs Megalon. While there were a couple of janky moments in terms of the effects work, the overall ambition and general step up in quality from Godzilla vs Gigan Rex, alongside an awesome new interpretation of one of Godzilla's most iconic enemies from the Showa era, really make this short something special. Godzilla vs Megalon is an absolute win in my book. So with all that said and done, Operation Jet Jaguar is easily the best Godzilla Day short we have ever gotten. Just like what happened with Godzilla vs Megalon, Operation Jet Jaguar is a massive step up from its predecessor, Gigan's Attack, and it took any and all weaknesses from that short and fine-tuned them to create something that was insanely hyped to watch the first time and has since given me a big old smile on my face whenever I've rewatched it. Easily the biggest step up was the tokusatsu work itself. While Gigan's Attack looked really good, rewatching it, you can definitely tell that a lot of the movements are kinda stiff, and there wasn't really that much exciting choreography or camera work being done. Of course, that can come down to the limitations of the suits themselves, but I digress. Here though, everything is so dynamic and full of energy when compared to that short. Godzilla and Jet Jaguar scenes shoving each other around the city, running, punching, doing super cool jump kicks, and it's way more visually interesting. It also definitely helps that one of the suits is meant to be more humanoid rather than a dinosaur type monster like Gigan, but again, I digress. Something that I failed to mention when it comes to the tokusatsu shorts is that a lot of the people working on them have also worked on a lot of modern day Ultraman shows. And looking at this short side by side with something like Ultraman Blazar, you can definitely see the similarity between the two in terms of their production. Of course, being made in the same of modern Ultraman means you have a lot of the same issues as modern Ultraman, such as how the composite shots always have this weird floaty nature to them that never looks convincing, but other than that, it's basically flawless. I mentioned the suits earlier, so let's talk about them real quick. We got two, well, three, but we'll put a pin in that for now. Suits to talk about, and they are on completely different sides of the spectrum. The same Final Wars Godzilla suit was brought out yet again for this short, and while it does still keep all the upgrades that it got from Gigan's Attack, I can almost hear this suit saying, "I'm tired of this, Grandpa!" And then Toho says, give us money for the Jet Jaguar suit. Look, I love these shorts, I really do, but for the love of God, please retire this suit after next year's short. On the other hand though, that new Jet Jaguar suit looks bloody fantastic. I pointed out a couple of problems I had with the Gigan suit that was built last year, but for the new Jet Jaguar suit, I really cannot think of anything wrong with it. It's basically a perfect recreation. There's only two things that bother me when it comes to this suit, and frankly they're both kind of minor. The first one is how when you look at the silver parts on his body, you can see a sort of weird fabric-like material covering it, and it kind of breaks the illusion of him being made out of metal. The other thing is that the glowing eyes look a little off on Jet Jaguar. It's only a nitpick, but I'm so used to Jet Jaguar having the soulless, vacant eyes that seeing the eyes glow all the time just looks kind of weird to me. Actually, there is one thing I'm not a fan of when it comes to Jet Jaguar in this short, and that's that he's built as a kaiju-sized mech by the Japanese government. Considering that one of the main draws of Jet Jaguar in both his Showa and Singular Point interpretations is that he is built by just a couple of guys in a smaller scale, and then grows to a giant size later on. It's off having him be giant sized the whole time. Lastly, I want to talk about the ending of this short, because holy Jesus, it was so damn hype. Okay, so I think a lot of people were curious as to how this year's short was gonna end, considering that in previous years, Godzilla utterly annihilated the enemy monsters. But considering that A, Godzilla is the villain this time and it would be weird to have him win, and 2, I do not think that they'd be willing to kill off Jet Jaguar, I was curious as to how it was gonna go down, and then we figured it out. As Godzilla was about to destroy Jet Jaguar, golden lightning rains down from the heavens, and
who else can they add?
yeah, big shitter, big f***ing shitter. Seeing Ghidorah back at it again in a tokusatsu Godzilla production is so damn cool, with both the GMK suit and theme returning in full glory. Though I will say, and we'll just remove the pin, Ghidorah looks like absolute roadkill. Not only is it the GMK suit with the longer necks, which just doesn't look as good, let's be honest, but I also think that there isn't anyone inside the suit, considering that all that Ghidorah does is land on the ground and shoot gravity beams. Granted, it's not like he needed to do much, but at the same time, I seriously hope that Toho gives him some sort of refurbishment in preparation for next year, considering that he's going to be going toe-to-toe with at least Godzilla and Jet Jaguar. But anyways, after that insane reveal, Jet Jaguar walks on over to a toppled over Godzilla, and then, you know what, I'll just do a recreation of what all my brain cells were thinking at this time. Then, the two allies square off against the mighty three-headed monster, the music swells, Godzilla roars, and then, to be continued, with the announcement of Godzilla Fest 5, All Monster Showdown, dropping the next Godzilla day. You gotta understand how much life this gave me at 2 in the morning. Look, Loopy Gub was there, he can vouch for me.
Where am I?
I wanna go home. But yeah, this ending does an amazing job at hyping a dude up. The unexpected arrival of one of Godzilla's greatest foes, the satisfying partnership of Godzilla and one of his greatest allies, and the promise of something even greater to come next year. In case you couldn't already tell, I loved Operation Jet Jaguar. It took so much of what made the last Godzilla Day shorts great and upped it to 11. This was undeniably one of the most hyped things I've seen from Godzilla in recent memory, and I'm so happy that this short exists. There are a few more things I want to say about the shorts this year before I wrap things up, one of which comes around to the distribution of them. Much like last year, the Tokusatsu short will only be up on YouTube for a limited time, but the reason it's going to be up for so long is simultaneously a blessing and a curse. So Toho had trouble when it came to trying to re-edit and properly archive the Godzilla Day stream itself, which, if I had to guess, they were trying to fix the quality of the shorts on there because they literally look and sound like they were recorded underwater. So they just said screw it and dumped Operation Jet Jaguar alongside the behind the scenes video onto YouTube for a limited time. At first for just a week, and now until the end of December. I said a majority of my grievances with this sort of idea in my video in the Gigan shorts, so I'll keep it brief, but considering that numerous different people fund these shorts, it doesn't make sense to have their hard-earned money basically be thrown to the wayside after such a short period of time for some unknown reason. At this point, fans on both sides of the Pacific are getting upset at this, and I hope that considering this backlash and how well Operation Jet Jaguar is doing, at over 500,000 views at the time of writing, Toho will see that there is definitely an audience for these shorts outside of the Godzilla Day events and publish them on YouTube permanently. Maybe they'll do that for the 70th anniversary, but who knows. Speaking of the 70th anniversary, what's next for these shorts? Obviously, we have All Monster Showdown to look forward to, but I think we're missing two very important anniversaries here, the 50th of Mechagodzilla and the 60th of Ghidorah. Nothing official was announced for both of them, probably because Toho wants to prioritize the 70th anniversary of the whole franchise, but I doubt that they just want to ignore the anniversaries of two of their most iconic monsters. With Ghidorah being prominently featured in the Tokusatsu short, I have a feeling that Mechagodzilla will be in next year's Gemstone short, if there is one of course. And maybe we could get a pseudo remake of Godzilla vs Mechagodzilla and have King Caesar thrown into the fray. But of course, we'll have to wait a while to know for certain what will happen next year, but if the track record for each short getting progressively better is anything to go by, then I'm certain that both of these shorts will be absolutely spectacular. But of course, these were just my thoughts and I want to know yours. Which short did you prefer and are you excited for next year's shorts? Be sure to sound off those thoughts and more in the comment section down below, and be sure to follow me on my social medias and join my Discord server if you want updates on upcoming videos or just want to hear my goofy rants about all sorts of stuff. And if you like what you saw and want to see more, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. Either way, I'm Sam the Geigy fan, hoping that you have a lovely rest of your day, and telling you all to wash your hands.